If you're planning a trip to Disney and you don't know where to start, I get it, I've been in your shoes, but I am here to help, and this video is for you. No matter what your budget is, which we will talk about in a moment here, no matter where your budget lies for going to Disney, if you're trying to do it on a budget or splurge and make it a magical trip, no matter what, this video will help you. And either going to Disney World or Disneyland, just a Disney trip, where to even begin in the planning. Now, you're probably like, who is this gal and how is she gonna help me? Well, I'm Nasa of the Lee crew. I'm mom to 6 kids, married to my high school sweetheart, and we love Disney. Right here on this channel, I create vlogs of things, of our trips to Disney World, a few other adventures along the way, but also I share tips and tricks with you to help you have a magical trip, no matter the size of your family or age of your kids. So let's get diving in. Oh, and don't forget, at the very end of this video, I'm going to share my top 3 things to do once you've kind of gotten your resort and everything booked, so that you can make sure that you're set up for a most amazing trip. Are you ready? I'm so excited. I love planning Disney trips. I could do it all the time. So let's get going. I know how overwhelming it can feel to plan for Disney. There are so many factors to go in, and if you join those Facebook groups, which I did create a free one because my friend and I were tired of seeing these negative groups. That's beside the point. But if you go into some of these groups, there's just so much information. It can be like, oh my gosh, overwhelming. So this is to kind of help you make some decisions on your own. With that, having a travel agent can be super helpful. I'm not a travel agent. This is not sponsored by a travel agent, but I have used one, and I want you to know that your Disney travel agent should be free. It should cost you nothing, and they should be able to get you the best possible deal. So if they're asking for more money beyond what the cost of your trip is, scrap them. You need someone else. I can recommend a few great ones. I've worked with someone very fantastic, even when I'm not booking a Disney hotel, just tickets, and they have been fantastic. Disney travel agents can be super helpful, yet you still want to have kind of a gauge on a few things before you going into the whole process. Otherwise, you can end up spending way too much money or not getting the trip that you really want. So the very first thing that you want to do when you're planning a Disney trip is to consider your budget and your length of stay. Those two things kind of will coincide. Now, with that, you might have to adjust a little bit by either, okay, I need to get realistic with my budget and I need to bump it up a little bit, cut costs somewhere else, or you're going to make some cuts other ways. Make your stay shorter, or go during a less busy time where it could be cheaper. Knowing how long you're gonna go and what your budget is will help you in the next step. Now, a couple things thinking about your budget and how long to stay is that the Disneyland resort in California, there are 2 parks, Disneyland and California Adventure. I would say 3 days is like minimum for them. You could do 1 day at each park, but I feel like Magic Kingdom or Disneyland, you could really get away with 2 days and still feel like you could use another day or 2 in the park. But that's a good starting point. For Disney World over in Florida, you're going to want at least 4 days to visit every park. Now, again, I know people who just go 1 or 2 days. I just cannot imagine not seeing all of the parks. They're all very magical, but that's just kind of a baseline. Know that there's 4 parks in Florida and 2 in California, and that will kind of give you a starting point. Another thing to consider is adding in a resort day or a day that you're not going into the parks, where you can kind of relax by the pool, check out other amenities. Disney has Disney Springs or Disney Village. Disney Village is in Paris. Downtown Disney is in Anaheim, but they have basically, it's a shopping area, and there's they're very cool areas you'll want to explore, and maybe not on a park day. So having a day where you're just taking a little more chill, a break between park days, can be great if you can afford it, both in your budget and in how long you can take off. Once you have an idea of how much you want to spend and how long you want to go for, then you can start thinking about where you're going to stay. The biggest thing here to consider is, are you doing a Disney resort, or are you going to stay off property, whether that's at an Airbnb or a good neighbor hotel? all three are fantastic options depending on your budget and your family's needs. My family, we really needed to save money, and so we wanted to spend it on other things. Again, as you can imagine, airfare and tickets for 8 people is a lot, but we stayed off-site at an Airbnb on our most recent Disney World trip, and that saved us thousands of dollars that we spent on doing fun things like building droids in Galaxy's Edge and buying souvenirs and spending it on multi-pass. We also were able to stay in a 6-bedroom home where there was more space, and it worked really well because we still had a baby in a crib, and that way we could kind of keep her and not all be tiptoeing in the same room. So something to kind of consider. I do have a video on the channel about staying on property versus off. I do love staying on property. So once you kind of decide if you want to stay on property, there are 3 levels of hotels: deluxe, moderate, and value. Now, what do you want to do? Based on your budget, you could kind of pick and choose. Do you want to stay value, save that money, put it into other things, or just save it in general? Or do you love the more amenities that come with a deluxe or a moderate hotel? Again, they're all fabulous. Finding a resort. At each level, there are so many hotel choices, and they're all fabulous, and it can feel overwhelming, but I would say look at some that are in your budget and then just like watch some videos on YouTube, some room tours. I have a few on my channel. There's some other great channels that have room tours to give you an idea of what it would look like to stay there. But they all have pros and cons. They're all fantastic. You can go down rabbit holes of over-researching, and then you just can't choose and you get in decision paralysis. The other mistake I see people making is going into these Facebook groups, asking a group of like 20,000 people which hotel is better, and then they're gonna have some people that say, oh, this one is, and then others that say, no, this one is, and then there's like a third group of people that are like, don't stay at either of those, stay at this one, and then you're just like, what do I even do? And then you're not planning, or you're gonna get in your head. So I would say just go with your gut. What looks more fun? And go with it. It will be fantastic. A couple other things you could consider is a split stay. If you're like, oh, should I go deluxe? Should I splurge? Or should I stay more moderate or value? Maybe you do a split stay. I have done a split stay, and it's a great way to experience a couple different resorts. You could stay value part of the time for your park days where you're just really using the place to sleep, and then you're gonna go into the parks, and then maybe on your resort day, you stay at a deluxe where you can use the pools and the other amenities that they have. So a great way to do it. And don't worry, this is a planning video. I'm not gonna get into it, but split stays are super easy in Disney because if you take your luggage down to Bell's Services, they can transfer it to you for free to the other hotel in Disney property. So it is amazing. That is like the biggest of where to begin. You figured out how long you want to stay, and you figured out where you want to stay. Those are great starts, and from there, all the hard work is done. But there's a few things that I would highly recommend to start doing once you're booked to have a most magical vacation. Just like any trip, you're most likely not going to just book it and then that's it, show up and do whatever. Not if you're me. You're most likely not watching this video if you're that kind of person. Props to you if you can be, but I'm a planner. Now with Disney, you don't want to over plan, but you also don't want to show up and just not know anything about the parks and the experience, because you will feel overwhelmed when you walk in, and it's highly likely that you'll leave feeling like you didn't get everything done. And while you won't get it all done, these 3 things will help you have a better experience. Okay? The first thing is that you're gonna start doing some research on the parks. Now, research sounds really long or boring. You think about like a 5th grade research paper on the states that you had to do. Is that just me? I don't know. Anyway, you might think that it's really boring, but Disney research is really fun. You're basically just gonna look at what is offered at the parks. You could download the My Disney Experience app. There's one for Disneyland and one for Disney World. There's actually one for like every Disney park, but you're gonna want the specific one to the park that you're going to. And then you could look through and look at the different parks. What is available there, what rides and shows, what characters, kind of getting an idea. Another great way to do some research is watching YouTube videos like this one. Now there are some great ones out there and I will put some recommendations down below. You can also watch my vlogs to see what our family did at each park and be like, oh, that ride looks fun. It will help you also if your kids are of different heights to kind of know height requirements, to kind of prepare them for what they can and can't do, but also what their thrill levels are. Like, oh, that looks too thrilling, or yeah, I think I could do that. It's a really great way to kind of get an idea of what's there and feel prepared, so you're not just like, what do I do? Oh my gosh, this park is huge and amazing. So that is a really great starting part. The next thing is you're gonna put on your walking shoes and go for walks. Now, I mean family walks. At Disney, I clocked 20 to 30,000 steps each day. That's a lot of steps. And depending on the time of year, if you're going in Florida, you're also doing it in the heat. It's hot, like really, really hot. So get walking, and this has a lot of points. One, your feet are gonna get used to it, your legs are gonna get used to it, just moving your body, getting used to that. It's also a great way to test your shoes to see if they give blisters, can you walk long periods of time in them, and also your clothes, did they chafe? Try shorts. I learned great what I thought were really great shorts. In fact, I'm wearing them currently, and they actually chafe. If I walk a long period of time, I was like, I am not bringing these to Disney. So it saved me, one, from finding out and just dealing with chafing my whole trip. That makes nobody comfortable, or blisters. No one in our family got blisters because we were walking before our trip and we were we knew our shoes worked really well. So that is a really big thing. Get walking. The other thing is it'll help you if you have younger kids that you're going to push in the stroller. Practice pushing the stroller, test out how it can hold water bottles. On the channel, I do have how I packed our stroller for our trip, so you can kind of get an idea, but seeing like, okay, we're gonna bring some water bottles to stay hydrated. If you have toddlers who want to adventure, having them used to riding in the stroller will be great for your Disney trip. The third thing you're gonna wanna do is create a countdown chain. Okay, this sounds, I'm sure, super silly. My family loved having a countdown chain. We did not surprise them like, hey, we're going to Disney tomorrow. I'm a big planner and I wanted to incorporate my children. So they helped with planning outfits and doing research. They knew about the trip. But sometimes it can be hard to think about how long is 30 days or 60 days. We made a big countdown chain, and that way they can pull off the chain and count down each day. They took turns for who got to do it, and it gave a visual representation of how long until we're going on our trip. So that was really big and helpful for our trip. Two last super quick points. I know this is a get you started in planning video, and I hope that's exactly what this did. So if it did, please hit that little thumbs up button, maybe like and subscribe. It would be fantastic. But there's two other quick details I want to tell just to kind of put it in your radar. And that is 60 days before your trip you are able to make dining reservations. So 60 days before your tickets. And this is for table service. Now, Disney has funny terms. Table service is like a sit-down restaurant where you would need a dining reservation. So just note that that's coming. So maybe add to your list of things, look at possible dining reservations. My family of 8 didn't actually do any table service restaurants for our stay, but note that that is something that will come down the pipeline. Another thing to keep in mind for Disney World Resort guests is that 7 days before your trip, you can purchase and pre-book 3 lightning lanes per day using the multi-pass system. Now, this video is not covering that, and I won't have a video for that for a little bit. Knowing that that is a thing you could pre-book, this is an extra fee to have the lightning lanes. My family thought it was 100% worth having lightning lanes. At the time, it was Genie Plus. It's very similar still, helping you skip the line, but just know that that's a thing, like that you could do that. That's 7 days out. If you're staying off property, it's 3 days out. So know that that is a thing. If it's something you're gonna wanna do, put a note in your calendar, have a reminder pop up, and maybe add it to your list to learn about those 2 things. That's it. You're ready to really start planning. Go pick that resort, go set your budget and your time, and get booking and have the most magical trip. I am so excited for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.